Alright, so now we're going to start the cleaning process. So I've got all my parts here that we took off of the gun. Before we get to boiling them, I'm going to spray some brake cleaner on these. And what that'll do, it will help get all of the oil off of the parts before we boil it. That's pretty important to do, so that's why I have this out. That's also why I'm outside. I've got my gloves on, some glasses, face mask, and whatnot. So we'll go ahead and get started. Basically, I'm going to spray them down, wipe them down, and then I'll probably put a fan on them to dry for a while before I actually boil them. But yeah, we'll go ahead and get started. Get a mask on and my glasses. And I've got my box here. Spray them into. And then after I've sprayed them and wiped them off, I'm just going to throw them into here. Alrighty. We'll go ahead and get started. Go ahead and start with the bolt cover. This guy off. Beautiful, beautiful. Alright. So now that we have all our parts thoroughly degreased, uh, I am going to put a fan on them, let them dry for, I don't know, as long as it needs, probably 45 minutes or so with a fan. Get them really good and dry, and then from that point, we will boil them.
So to degrease all the screws at once, I put them all into a bottle. So I'm going to spray some of the brake cleaner in there, shake them up just a little bit, and then wipe them all off. So go ahead and do that. little bit of a. There we go. That should be plenty enough. All right. And then we'll just put the top on them. And give it a little bit of a shake up real quick. All right. So now all I'm going to do is dry up these screws where I put the degreaser on them. Got a couple Q-tips and a few of the cotton patches. Just do one at a time. Alrighty. This guy out. A little bit more on there. There we go. Beautiful. Alrighty. So normally I'd put a fan on these and let them blow off, but it's actually pretty warm out here today. I think I'm just gonna let this bowl sit out and let them dry off. So, and then we can get to boiling them. So, got all these cleaned up. Good deal. So after I degreased all of the metal parts, I've got them drying. So I've got them in this pan here. I've got a fan blowing on the high setting, and I also faced, some of the parts like the bolt carrier and the firing pin. Those are hollow to make sure it can dry any moisture that is still inside of the part. So you'll want to leave it like this. Normally at least 45 minutes for everything to dry. Just to make sure it gets all of the brake fluid we use, make sure it dries that out, and there should be no more oil on these parts, theoretically. So I've got all my gun parts in here boiling. They've been boiling probably for about 20 minutes or so. You can already see all the residue that's kind of lifted up, and you can see it around the sides of the pot. And don't worry, the only thing I'm using this pot for is specifically gun parts, so it won't be eating out of this pot. But yep, so still boiling, can't really see anything so far. But once we get done, we'll let them dry for a bit, and then we'll start on the cleaning. Alright, so I've actually already got started here with the steel wool. I've heard two different things. So I've heard to use the steel wool without any of the solvent or lubricant, and then use the solvent and lubricant after you've, scraped off what you can with the steel wool. And I've also heard to use it when you're using the steel wool the first time around. So just to be on the safe side, I thought I would just use the steel wool first by itself. And then possibly if I need to, I'll add on some of this and also use the steel wool. And then finally at the end, I will lube it up with the solvent and the rust preventive stuff right here. Um, but I will say, if you look right here, see if I can focus in. Okay, so this hole right here was completely red, had a lot of rust on it. I've got most of that out just using the steel wool there. Let's look on this side. Same here. This was basically caked in rust. I've got most of it out. If you look on the inside, there are still some spots, There's a spot right there. This spot's kind of bad, but overall it did a big help. So I'm going to scrub on it a little bit more and see what I got. Also, as I'm doing that with the parts, if I go over here, I am boiling my screws. So I've got my screws boiling in the pot. Let them boil for a little bit, and then I'll start on that process. So